Before we hop into what is self-inquiry and how it works, let's discuss what it is not. It is not meditation. Meditation is when you're focusing your mind on things such as your breath during breath work, or on a mantra. A mantra is a nonsensical sound or word that you repeat over and over to yourself, and it drifts you back into, you could say, a trance-like experience. Same goes for puja. The difference between puja and a mantra is puja is when you repeat a deity's name over and over to yourself quietly, such as Shiva or Buddha or Jesus, over and over again, and it drifts you back into yourself as well. Also, there's mindfulness, where you're focusing on your mind. You're trying to calm your mind and soothe your mind to ease your tensions. But if we notice, what we're doing here is we're turning our attention away with our mind onto our breath in breath work, onto our mind in meditation, and onto these sounds during mantra and puja meditation. And what self-inquiry is saying you take a step back prior to your mind and your breath and your whisperings to yourself to see what is aware of your mind, aware of your breath, aware of the sounds. And that is where true peace and happiness and silence and stillness lies, is when you see and recognize directly that there is something that's not a thing prior to your mind and your breath and your chanting and your puja and whatever other meditations you're doing. So that is the primary difference between meditation and self-inquiry. It's actually a complete night and day. One keeps the mind active. Meditation keeps the mind active, while self-inquiry shuts the mind down and starts to eliminate it. And this is how self-inquiry works. There's two different ways for a mind to be quieted, you could say. One is manalaya. Manalaya is the temporary subsidence of the mind, the temporary subsidence of your egoic irritations and irritations that we're all familiar with. And that's what meditation does. It calms the mind. It temporarily soothes it and shuts it down. But there's no change in that. That's why when you meditate, you have to continue to meditate over and over again in whatever form you're meditating in, because the mind will rise back up again. And we experience this, all of us do, in sleep. That's what sleep is. The mind is temporarily subsiding back into its source, and when you wake up in the morning, it picks right back up to where it left off. Now compare that to mana nasa. And by the way, mana is mind, and nasa is elimination. When you're in self-inquiry, you're turning your attention, your egoic attention, your egoic mind, back onto its source. And when your mind sees the love and silence of its own source, it starts to eradicate itself. That is the primary difference between meditation and self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is the only form of practice in which there is significant real change within your mind, or the absence of your mind. Because the more you stay self-attentive, the more your mind subsides and secesses into itself. And that's all that remains, is the permanent way of being. And this is known as self-realization. And self-realization can be known as a spurana. A spurana is a non-conceptual, non-objective experience of a new, clear, and fresh knowledge of one's existence. So as you turn your attention back into yourself, you see that you, yourself, that which exists, your being, is recognizing its own existence. And in that, it collapses, it eradicates the egoic mind. And therefore, there's permanent change in that. That's what makes self-inquiry so absolutely profound. So what is self-inquiry? It's turning your attention, your egoic mind, back onto its source and abiding in that peaceful silence. And how it works is that in that abiding, it actually sees that it prefers to hang out here in the happiness and stillness and peace and silence of itself relative to its own irritative, agitative way that is so prevalent in the world. It's just, it doesn't prefer to be in an agitative state anymore. It would rather be in a realm, in a way of stillness and silence. Just a reminder, I do private, free, one-on-one non-duality sessions. For those who are interested, you can go to my website, loveoutpouring.com, to book a time there. Take care.